Vice President Kamala Harris threw Donald Trump's base and the MAGA propaganda machine into disarray on Friday when she made a high-profile trip to the border. Harris traveled to Douglas, Arizona, and delivered a powerful speech on immigration policy, insisting that there was no choice between maintaining border security and implementing a humane immigration policy. Kamala Harris was outspoken in her condemnation of Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans for trying to block a bipartisan border security deal that, if passed, would have dramatically improved conditions at the border. Yet Trump has asked MAGA lawmakers to block the deal for political purposes. He wants to maintain chaos at the border to use as a campaign tool, rather than address the real problem. This shows a lack of accountability in providing long-term solutions and further underscores why immigration policy reforms are necessary to build a better future for the American people. Immigration has always been a cornerstone of American political discourse, evoking strong emotions and fierce debates on what it means to be a nation of immigrants. The issue has become even more contentious in recent years, with heightened border crises and polarizing policies that have divided the American public. Vice President Kamala Harris has emerged as a leading voice in the Democratic Party advocating for a balanced and humane approach to immigration. In her view, addressing the challenges at the border is not simply about security, it's about America's commitment to human rights, compassion, and fairness. Throughout her tenure and public appearances, she has articulated a vision of an immigration system that safeguards national security while preserving the dignity and humanity of those seeking refuge. In a recent visit to the southern border, Vice President Harris confronted a narrative that has dominated the national conversation, a narrative that insists on a false dichotomy, either being tough on immigration or being weak and soft by adopting humane policies. This narrative, propagated primarily by the MAGA faction of the Republican Party under former President Donald Trump, has created a misleading impression that undermines constructive dialogue and solutions. Harris, however, has repeatedly emphasized that a robust border security strategy does not contradict the values of compassion and empathy. Instead, she argues that these elements must work hand in hand to create a fair and effective system. Harris's nuanced stance directly challenges the rhetoric from Trump's base, which often frames the debate as a zero-sum game, one in which any effort to address humanitarian concerns is viewed as a sign of weakness. Her position rejects this framing as a cynical attempt to oversimplify a complex issue for political gain. Harris's approach acknowledges that border security is essential but insists that it can and should be paired with policies that recognize the inherent dignity of individuals who arrive at the U.S. border seeking a better life. This perspective is crucial in dispelling the myth that America must choose between being a country of laws and a country of compassion. Harris has not shied away from holding Donald Trump and the MAGA faction of the Republican Party accountable for the current state of immigration policy. Under Trump's administration, the United States witnessed a dramatic escalation in anti-immigrant rhetoric and a series of draconian measures that prioritized cruelty over comprehensive solutions. The zero-tolerance policy, which led to the separation of thousands of children from their families at the border, is one of the most notorious examples. This policy, branded as a deterrent, not only failed to achieve its intended goals but also sparked a humanitarian crisis, leaving a lasting scar on America's moral fabric. More than just implementing harsh policies, Trump's actions have stymied efforts to pass meaningful immigration reform. At a time when bipartisan cooperation seemed possible, Trump deliberately chose to derail a historic agreement that would have addressed both security and humanitarian concerns. This agreement included measures such as hiring 1,500 additional border agents, deploying 100 state-of-the-art machines to detect fentanyl, a powerful and deadly synthetic opioid ravaging American communities, and expanding the number of immigration judges to reduce the backlog of asylum cases. These provisions were designed to strengthen border security while ensuring a fairer and more efficient asylum process. Yet, With a simple and ruthless directive, kill the bill, Trump shattered any hope of progress. His opposition to the bipartisan agreement, as confirmed by Senator James Lankford, was not based on policy considerations but purely on political calculus. Trump viewed the immigration issue not as a problem to be solved but as a wedge to exploit, using it to rally his base and project a tough-on-immigration image that resonated with a segment of voters. By sabotaging this effort, Trump not only deepened the border crisis but also weaponized it for his political agenda. The significance of the bipartisan agreement cannot be overstated. It represented a rare opportunity for both parties to come together and enact a solution that balanced enforcement with compassion. The proposed legislation sought to enhance border security in a responsible and sustainable manner by allocating funds to hire and train additional border personnel, invest in cutting-edge technology to detect illegal substances, and streamline the immigration process. It would have also reformed the asylum system by increasing the number of judges to adjudicate claims more swiftly and fairly, reducing the backlog that currently leaves many asylum seekers in legal limbo. In addition to bolstering security, the bill aimed to create a more orderly process for managing migration flows. By improving the efficiency of the asylum system and increasing resources for border management, the agreement would have prevented the kind of chaos and suffering seen under Trump's policies. This would have been a win-win solution: a stronger, more secure border and a humane system that treats migrants with the dignity they deserve. However, Trump's refusal to support the agreement was not about the merits of the policy, but about maintaining a crisis that he could use to galvanize his political base. As several Republican lawmakers admitted, Trump's strategy was to ensure that immigration remained a divisive issue that he could manipulate to his advantage. This political gamesmanship has had real consequences, leaving America's border policy in disarray and tarnishing its global reputation. Harris has been vocal in condemning the shortcomings and cruelty of Trump's immigration policies. The family separation policy, in particular, stands out as one of the most inhumane practices in recent American history. Thousands of children were torn from their parents, detained in harsh conditions, and left to suffer the trauma of separation. Harris argues that this was not just a policy failure but a moral one, a stain on America's conscience that will take years to rectify. Moreover, Harris has highlighted Trump's repeated attempts to dismantle protections for Dreamers, young immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children and who have known no other home. Trump's attempts to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DACA program threw the lives of hundreds of thousands of Dreamers into uncertainty, creating a climate of fear and instability. Harris contends that rather than addressing the root causes of migration or creating a stable and predictable system, Trump chose to sow chaos and fear, using immigration as a tool to divide Americans. Looking forward, Harris has proposed a series of reforms that seek to restore order, compassion, and security to America's immigration system. Her plan includes increasing resources for border management, investing in technology and personnel to detect and prevent illegal activity, and creating clearer pathways for legal migration. These measures would strengthen the security of the border while ensuring that migrants are treated fairly and humanely. Harris has also pledged to streamline the asylum process, reduce the backlog of cases, and ensure that asylum seekers are not left in limbo for years. By providing more judges and legal resources, she aims to create a system that is both efficient and just. Her approach is grounded in the belief that a strong immigration policy is not defined by how many people are kept out, but by how fairly and effectively the system can process those who seek to enter legally. Harris's criticism of Trump is supported by statements from within his own party. Senator James Lankford openly acknowledged that Trump instructed Republicans to block the bipartisan immigration bill. Similarly, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell have admitted that the refusal to address immigration reform was more about politics than policy. These admissions reveal the extent to which Trump prioritized his own political interests over the national interest, using immigration as a tool to maintain his hold over the GOP and his base. In contrast, Harris has outlined a vision for an immigration system that is both secure and humane. She believes that America can uphold its values as a nation of immigrants while protecting its borders. This requires a comprehensive approach that includes enforcement, legal reform, and a commitment to treating every individual with respect and dignity. Harris has pledged to work tirelessly to build a bipartisan consensus for immigration reform, emphasizing that a strong America is not only defined by its borders, but by its values and how it treats those who seek to be part of the American dream. Her message is clear: America's strength lies not in building walls or separating families, but in creating a system that is fair, just, and reflective of the nation's highest ideals. Harris's vision represents a sharp departure from Trump's legacy of division and fear, offering a path forward that reconciles security with compassion and law with humanity. Vice President Kamala Harris has proven herself to be a true leader focused on actionable, constructive solutions. Rather than simply engaging in pointless political battles, she has emphasized the need to find solutions that are bipartisan. With a mindset focused on listening and collaboration, Harris has made it clear that the country can only move forward if we put the national interest first and overcome petty divisions to build a future together. Her key message was clear in these turbulent times. What Americans need is a leader who is willing to confront core issues and bring unity rather than division. Harris believes that politics should not be a playground for personal power, but should be shaped by people with a sense of responsibility and commitment to the community. As the country faces enormous challenges, from economic crisis to social discord, she asserted that only by working together and respecting each other can we create real change. Vice President Harris's call to the people is to think deeply and critically about the information you receive. Look at actions and real results rather than just being swept away by rhetoric and empty promises. This is a time for each citizen to realize their responsibility to build a transparent and trustworthy political system. And we will determine the future of our country through our wise choices.